Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Rajiv, and I'm a senior software engineer with Trinet. I thank all of you to coming here and listening to me on the last day of the conference. Everybody, thank you so much. So today, what we are going to do, what this session is all about is, embedding Tableau dashboards into Salesforce. We are going to cover Salesforce. We are going to cover Tableau. We're going to cover different aspects of it. This session is for everybody. You're going to learn like how even not only embedding Tableau dashboard into Salesforce, but you want to bring some other application into Salesforce other than Tableau. Then what are the concepts required for it? We're going to cover that also here. We're also going to look tomorrow. You want to expose your Tableau server on the mobile. What the infrastructure is required? The same things are required because if you have an on-prem server, you want to expose it outside for mobile. So how many of you have Tableau server on-prem? How? Couple of folks, yeah. So this particularly is like you can do it with Tableau online also, and also Tableau server on-prem. So what this is all mostly about Tableau server on-prem and how you're going to take it to the Salesforce. So before I start, let me give you some background. When I was asked to do it, I was given like a 4 to 5 months of deadline, and there were specific requirements that came in. The requirements that came in, we want that once a salesperson logs into Salesforce, he should be able to see the analytics. At the same time, we don't want him to log into Tableau again. The experience should be seamless. And then they said, we have like 1,000 Salesforce users. We don't want to give every one of them access to Tableau. Tomorrow I add a new sales rep. I should not be bothered whether that person is having access on Tableau or not. So they asked me, we want to pass generic ID or a single username. We don't want to maintain any security on Tableau. You maintain your security, we will maintain our object level security in Salesforce. And then the third thing they asked, we want to pass filters. We want to pass account ID, we want to pass the user ID, or tomorrow we will pass opportunity ID also. So that the sales rep, if he is assigned 5 accounts, he's only able to see the data related to his account. We don't want anybody else to see it. So this is what we are going to cover in this session, how we are going to achieve this, all of this. So I'm going to go into the infrastructure setup, how we are going to do the infrastructure setup, the Salesforce application setup, the Tableau dashboard setup, and finally the embedding of Tableau dashboard. So Salesforce was one, and Tableau was one. Now they're combined in one. When I came to this conference, there were a lot of banners, Salesforce plus Tableau. Today we are going to do that. Before we get started into going into the real application, let's understand what are the different benefits of doing it. Salesforce has Einstein with it, but Tableau has a lot of visualization capabilities with it. We are going to bring all that visuals. You can see in that screenshot how if you are a sales rep or a person who wants to analyze something, how easy it is for you to see with visuals that where my sales are going, how my sales are doing. So that's a power you're going to bring with visual. Today, you don't only have Salesforce data in your application, in your data warehouse, you also have the data related to HR, related to marketing, related to your own data. You want to blend it with Salesforce data and show it at one place. You can do it. You can bring all your enterprise data now at one place. Interactivity. You want to go from account to opportunity, opportunity to account. You want to give a seamless experience to your higher executives. You want to do a seamless integration. You navigate from, you do different filtering. You do filtering by state, by date. The person who is viewing it, he should not be able to, again, go back and do the rendering again. You want to give a seamless integration. And security. Today, organizations are spending a lot of money on cyber security. They are having dedicated resources on it. This integration is going to be secured enough that a secret key will be passed. We're going to look in the future slides. And then it's all HTTPS with username, password being passed, trusted communication going on. So that was one of the challenge was for me. I have to convince my security that this integration exposing Tableau server outside of my firewalls on the internet with integration with Salesforce is purely secure. Let's look into the high-level architecture of it. So you have Salesforce on one side, and you have the Tableau server on the other side. What are the components required to bring them together? Sparkler. So if you search, so Sparkler is the one which is a Java adapter file, which is provided by Tableau. It takes the input from Salesforce, converts it into a purposeful input for the Tableau server, and then sends the information back to Salesforce. You also need a proxy. You may be having a cluster of 10 machines or 20 machines even. You cannot take all of those machines outside and expose it on the internet, so you need a proxy. And then the user in the Salesforce, he clicks a dashboard, and then the communication comes from Salesforce to Tableau. Tableau knows that, okay, this is an output I need to give back to the Salesforce, how it does it. And then it sends the output back to the Salesforce. So we are going to, these are just a high-level components. In the coming slides, we'll be looking into each one of those components into more detail for you to go back and enable it in your organization. So how it happens, this is from a more server perspective. But if you think, from your solutioning perspective, what are the things happening there? Okay, a Tableau dashboard is called with filters, account is equal to Tableau, and a username is, Tom. It goes there, it does a handshake with Tableau server. The Tom is authenticated on the Tableau server and is also authorized on the Tableau server to view the dashboard. And then he has access to that account. And then the data is put in there and is sent back to the Salesforce. So this is what happens on a high level. Let's look into the, the network flow, which I want to tell from a high level perspective. The person, you are a browser, you are in a browser, you request for a page, and then the Salesforce uses a Canvas connected app. So any third-party integration, if you want to do with Salesforce, it uses Canvas connected app. And then it embeds the dashboard, it calls a Visualforce iframe, and then the JavaScript of your browser calls the dashboard. It goes to the proxy, proxy takes it to the Sparkler. Sparkler then talks to Tableau, where it is a trusted machine. So the username, if a username which is coming from the proxy or from the Salesforce has to be a valid user on Tableau for the view to be rendered in Salesforce. Sparkler takes all that information to the Tableau server. Tableau server checks that whether this user is a named user on the Tableau server. It's added on a Tableau server, has the, the access to that dashboard or not. Then only it checks that, it says that, okay, this is a trusted user, let me pass a trusted ticket back. Sparkler takes that trusted ticket, and Sparkler knows which is a dashboard is to become. That dashboard name is given by Salesforce. It forms a URL with the trusted ticket into it. And then it sends the information back to Salesforce. So the URL looks like your Tableau server / trusted ticket, and then Salesforce uses that trusted ticket, talk to Tableau server, and then Tableau server says that this trusted ticket is a genuine ticket, and let me send back the view. Once the communication is formed between Salesforce and Tableau, Sparkler goes out of the way. Then it's a direct interaction between Salesforce and Tableau. So Sparkler just comes the first time to make sure the connection is secured. It doesn't come after that, it's a direct interaction. Any filters you pass, and it's a direct interaction. So there is the latency is very, very low. And this is how it just sends the request back, and then the Tableau sends it back, and then they both communicate. Now, let's look each of those components into more detail so that you can go back and set it up. Sparkler. Sparkler is a Java adapter file. It takes the input from the Salesforce, converts it into a desired output for the Tableau server to understand, and then sends the back information. You need to have on the prerequisites here, you need to have the Java, you need to have Tomcat, and you need to configure sparkler.xml file as well as the server.xml file. Sparkler.xml file and server.xml file are the two main files of this configuration. After you have done it, this whole integration, and you find some issues, mostly it's the sparkler.xml file, which we will look in the coming slides, is the issue. And also, the Sparkler machine needs to be a trusted machine on the Tableau server. You need to add it as a trusted machine using wgserver.trustedhosts. Now let's look into the sparkler.xml file. This is a main configuration file which is provided by Tableau, which is there. It has all the inputs, like which Tableau server to connect, how the view should be rendered, does I need to show the tabs, does I need to show the toolbar or not, which is the Salesforce instance I am talking to, is it a genuine instance or not. That all the settings are in this sparkler.xml file. It has different sections, the secret key section, trusted authentication section, how your visualization should load, what's the proxy server to talk, what's the log level to be there. So the first section that comes is the secret key section. You pass a secret key, the secret key comes here, and we put it in there. That secret key, when we will look into the Salesforce setup, we'll also look like we generate a secret key there, the secret key comes. So the first line of communication or authentication is the match of the secret key. If the secret key doesn't match, a browser throws an arrow that consumer secret keys doesn't match. So this is how much this is secured. And then we also look at the other section, which is the, the Tableau server trusted ticket settings. Every communication is over port 443, which is a standard today for HTTPS, as secured socket layer communication. You give your Tableau server URL. This could be your external load balancer URL. Then you give it a Tableau server test username, and then you give a signed identity. We're going to look like signed identity is the custom username that you want to pass from Salesforce to Tableau. This is a username that you can designate any username to be passed from Salesforce to Tableau will be under signed identity. Signed identity will help you to map anything from Salesforce to Tableau. And then in the end, we have like the proxy settings, the debug settings. So the first line which says that what is a Tableau external URL, which is nothing but your proxy server URL. You have a proxy which we looked in the previous slides, which is actually exposing your Tableau server outside. So if you already have a Tableau server on mobile or outside, the same infrastructure can be used to even expose it to Salesforce. You don't need to build any separate infrastructure. Then you give the site name, which site you want it to be connected to. You can have like, okay, I want to expose only, I'm a little bit concerned about security. I just want one site to talk to outside world. I don't want many sites, to talk. Then you can just put that site name here, and only that site will be available to be there. You can also use JavaScript APIs. If you want to call some JavaScript API from, okay, I created a button in Salesforce. Every time somebody clicks a button in Salesforce, then only this view should render with these filters. Then on click of a button, you can even dedicate it to use that JavaScript API. Then you have the proxy server settings, which proxy server to talk, which port to be opened. And then in the end, you have the log level settings, like how much log level you want. We generally don't touch the log level settings because Tableau says just keep them what we have given you. Don't touch them. What you want to see, you'll get all of them there. And then in the end, we have the status page. The status page shows whether your Sparkler is working fine or not. So that's something we are going to look in again in the future slides. So this is how your Sparkler, the main configuration file is going to look like. Now think of it like your Salesforce even doesn't know to whom it is talking to. It just talks to Proxy, Proxy talks to Sparkler, and then Sparkler actually talks to Tableau. So Salesforce even doesn't know what is the Tableau instance it is talking to. This is a Sparkler which is telling it which Salesforce instance to talk to. This is how, if you want to test your Sparkler setup, where we looked into that status page, if it is true, this is how you get. So you have done your all the Sparkler setup, you have put it, now you want to test it out. This will tell you whether your communication to the Tableau instance is working fine or not. In this test, it will pass a trusted ticket back to the Sparkler, and then the Sparkler will say, okay, the connection is okay. So if you're done, like you're setting up in parts, so one part, if you get this page, okay, my Sparkler settings are good, I'm good to go to the next step. We mostly do this page tested setup only for the development instance. For the production instance, we set this value to false. And if you set this value to false, you actually get that the status page is disabled. You don't want your users, to see when the end user see, then it will show a warning that the status page is enabled, which is disabled in production. So we looked into the Sparkler. We looked into the complete architecture. Now let's check what is a proxy to be done. So reverse proxy is the one which will expose your Tableau server outside of the firewall. It's not only for Salesforce, but it can be used for, you want your users to access now Tableau server outside of the VPN, you want them to access on Tableau mobile. This all reverse proxy will do, not just for Salesforce. So it is nothing but it receives external request and then sends back the information. One of the things when I was working on it, and as a Tableau administrator or a platform administrator, I was not aware of the network settings or the security settings that need to be done. So when I was researching on it, then the network team said we need to open a port from, we have two firewalls. One is just for external firewall, and another one we have which is called the edge firewall, and then we have an internal firewall. So anything which is exposed outside is defended by a separate firewall, and anything which is exposed, which is inside, is again we have an internal firewall. So they told me to make sure you have to open a port from a server to a load balancer URL. The communication never goes from server to server. It always goes from server to load balancer and load balancer to the server. So my understanding was all at that time was server to server communication. But it goes there's a load balancer in between, it will take the input, it will do the SSL termination, it will have its own IROs, and then the communication will go to the server. So these were all the learnings that I had on my way. Now how do you set up this reverse proxy server? The reverse proxy server, the number one setting, this is a very, very, from a security point, unrestricted ticket is equal to false. When you expose a view in Salesforce, you want your sales rep or whoever is accessing it, his access should only be limited to that view. He should not be able to access other resources. If he clicks, if he navigates here and there, he should not be able to see the other projects or other access that ID has. So you need to make sure that this unrestricted ticket is set to false. Then you need to set the trusted ticket timeout, which is by default is 180 seconds. It is the time in which the ticket is redeemed by the Tableau server. You can set this timeout to a higher value, but in 3 minutes should be sufficient enough for your network for the request to come to Salesforce after the ticket has been given to ask for a view. Then gateway.public host, I put two things here. I put proxy server URL as well as I put internal URL. The reason I put two is that if you're doing a publishing activity or you're publishing, you don't want your users to use a proxy URL to publish the objects into the Tableau server. You want them to still use a URL which is inside the network, which will be more quickly accessible. So if you set this to proxy server URL, and then you use internal URL to publish when you download the workbooks, it will prompt you an error saying that it doesn't recognize it, because all your servers are dedicated to proxy server. This is the setting which actually helps when you publish something to the server. The workbook uses this URL. Then you have the public port, which is SSL port. Then you have the gateway.trusted is equal to proxy server. So what happens in the network, the request starts from point A, and like request starts from Salesforce, it goes to Tableau server. It is not a direct communication. There will be several hops through which the request will be traveling. It will be traveling through load balancer URL. There will be some network servers. There will be some gateway servers. So generally, this is the gateway IP, which is there in between the. So it travels through different hops. Even if today you go to your server, you do a ping or something, you have used Wireshark or something, it travels through so many hops. You need to make sure all that hops are trusted in Tableau server. And generally, it's just one gateway server, which is set up by the network team. And then the gateway.trusted host, you need to put your proxy server URL. All these settings is very, very important. And I brought all this because the people struggle with this, and the time is lost actually in bringing these things out, because you have to talk to different teams, and if you know them already in hand, then you can just tell them. So we looked at the reverse proxy setup. We looked at the sparkler. Now let's look at the Salesforce side of it. Now the user, we have done everything on our side. What's need to be done in Salesforce to actually, for the dashboard to talk to the Tableau server? Connected app. Any third-party integration with Salesforce, Salesforce says use a Canvas connected app. Connected app is the one through which you can bring external apps into Salesforce. So think of this, what I'm going to cover, from a point that I don't want to bring only Tableau. I want to bring some other app also into my Salesforce. I want to integrate maybe some other tool that I want to expose it here, not just Tableau. So this will help you to bring any app into Salesforce. It travels over OAuth protocol. Now what does this mean is that today you go to different apps, and then you say, okay, authenticate with my Gmail ID, authenticate with my Facebook ID. That is nothing but an OAuth protocol. Gmail or Facebook are giving a token back to the application and saying that, okay, this is a trusted thing. The access has already been okayed by the user. The same thing used here. We want the user is kicked in the flow, and then it is traveled there. So the Canvas says, or connected app of Salesforce says, you have to bring the user into the app. You have to kick the user into the flow. Then rest, I will take care. That's where they use OAuth protocol to talk there. Because we have already tell them, okay, this is a user which is given by us into the app to access this app. Now go and give it a token. Then we also need to see like the Canvas. It's nothing but it talks over JavaScript APIs to actually talk to the Tableau server. Then the setup is all trusted. We saw we're going to generate a secret key. That secret key is all making this communication trusted. The permissions. The Canvas, also the people who are accessing it, they need to have the Canvas permissions to access the Canvas app in order to communicate with the Tableau. So let's look how we can set up this Canvas app in Salesforce. You just go to the quick search box. So everything is in Classic, but the same things will work in Lightning also. You go to the quick search box, and you just say connected app. You put a connected app, the connected app name, which you want to give. You put your ID, and then you go next. Here you say, okay, enable OAuth settings. What you want to give to your OAuth? Okay, I just want to access them my basic information. Okay, my profile, my email. This is the same thing. Just think of it, don't think of it as a connected app here. Just think of it as a Gmail ID. When your Gmail asks this or Facebook asks, this is what same is written there. It is just that it is written in a list there. We are putting it in the horizontal bar. But these are different things, what are different things what you want to scope it out. There are different things that you can scope it out depending on your requirement. But this is a basic you need to tell the username which needs to be passed. OAuth needs to know the username. Once you set it up, you also set the callback URL. This callback URL is nothing but to make sure it's a health check URL to make sure that your app, the Sparkler app, is actually alive and it's not down. So this is a URL which the Canvas set sends there to make sure that the connected app is all good. We're going to look like it also has a status page where this health check URL is being used to actually tell it that, okay, the Sparkler is good. So we looked into the OAuth, then you come to the next section. Now here you click the Canvas app. Now Canvas app, as we have seen, it's nothing but a JavaScript API. It's a connected app. This is the one which will be actually doing all the work, talking over the JavaScript APIs to talk to the Tableau server or any other application you want to bring or any other tool you want to bring. Okay, so it's nothing but it does a post request. It's just the post in the JSON format. It will do a post like I'll see like, okay, this is a workbook name, this is a site, this is the filters. It will do a post. Canvas will do nothing but a post in the JSON format to the other application. Now, where do you want to expose this Canvas app in your Salesforce instance? It could be on a Visualforce page, which is a requirement. It could be on a chatter feed. There's a Tableau server on this side, and you want people also to communicate, okay, how my dashboard is going, how the things are looking like. So you say, okay, I want to export this in chatter feed also, so that people, they can interact on Tableau, and then they can put the comments in the Salesforce itself. So we are not in the Tableau comments, but we are in the Salesforce comment. Once you set up this section, then what you do is that you also give the Canvas app URL. Now this URL is nothing, but it's your endpoints, which will be actually be consuming that information of what Tableau workbook, what Tableau username is coming. So these endpoint, so this is nothing but an endpoint. Tomorrow you may have another app where you say, I want to see the permissions and I want to give just the username. So you will just put an endpoint here, and which will be consuming it. Once you are done with this, you click save, and then this screen opens up for you. And if you can see on the right-hand side, it generates a secret key. The same secret key which we took on the other side, and we put it in the Sparkler server. As we move forward, so here it comes, who is authorized to see this application. I say, okay, whoever is able to log in into Salesforce should be able to see it. You can change these settings. It says that pre-approved users or anything, there are different options depending on your org. You can change it. Then we say relax IP restrictions, and the refresh token is valid and the revoked. So what happens actually here is that the OAuth with this setting, it will keep on giving you the refresh token. So the user is in the app for half an hour and his session is expiring. The Salesforce session is expiring after 15 minutes. When he's viewing it, it will automatically at the back end, it will pass the refresh token again. So that was very recently released by Salesforce in the previous year. And then you also say what profiles what is the different access level I want to give to this. So in Salesforce, you can have 10 sales rep. They can be under one profile, so you can give that profile access here. So this is how all your Canvas app is being set it up. This is how the Canvas is set. This is how the Canvas talks to the Salesforce. So we looked into the Salesforce setup. This is how your application. Now we have set all the components. We have set the Salesforce, we have set the proxy, we have set the Sparkler, and we have also set the Tableau server. And now when I talked about that callback URL, you go to Canvas app viewer in the Salesforce, and you say, and you click on it. Once you click on it, it shows you this screen which lists your username, your email ID, and your Salesforce user ID, and it shows that the connection to the Sparkler is working fine. So this is how, now you tested the Sparkler, you tested the Canvas, this is how it tells you. You have done all this, but how does your proxy will talk to the sparkler? So this is a very small setting which can be altered, but this is how you do a proxy settings. You say /health check, okay, go to the sparkler.keep a live session, which will actually return the information whether the sparkler is going good or not. Then you say /Tableau. This is the endpoint URL. Okay, now I'm rendering a dashboard. So when we created the Canvas app, in the endpoint we say that, okay, proxy server URL /Tableau. So this will be the settings which will go actually in your HTTP conf file of your web server. Now, we talked about all the different components that are required. But how do you render a dashboard into Salesforce? Where do you render it? So you use Visualforce Page. Visualforce Page is a framework to build any user interface. It's kind of a feeder data which will actually tell you that what is the things that should be go as an endpoint URL. The things which will go as an argument to your Sparkler endpoint URL. Here, if you see, we have like the account controller. We have the Tableau dashboard name, which is under ts.name. We have the trusted ticket, signed entity. Signed entity is nothing but passing a custom username. And you also have the account name. Account name is nothing, but what is the account to be passed automatically when a sales rep logs into it? What is the account he should be seeing it? So that will be passed automatically using the Visualforce Page, and that is going as a filter to Tableau. Now we talked about the signed identity, which is passing a custom username and password. How do we do it? How do we pass the custom username and password? And that's what we are going to look. Now you want to pass a generic user from Salesforce to Tableau. How we are going to achieve it? If you use SAML solutions, you cannot do it because somebody who's logged into Salesforce, again, the same user should be there. But we have a different requirement. And then you also want to have your multiple sites on the Tableau that use Sparkler. How do you control all those things? So that custom mapping will actually allow you to control this. How do we configure the custom mapping? We first configure Sparkler. There is a Sparkler setting called as ts.signedentity, which we looked in our previous slides, the XML file where we were passing. So there we have to put signed entity. Then we are going to create the custom setting for the secret. So once you are into Salesforce, you say, I want to create a custom setting. I want to generate a secret key. And any information that is passed from Salesforce to Tableau should be a signed thing. It should be signed. It should be encrypted. Nobody can decrypt it. How will Sparkler come to know? So that's where we go to the schema settings. We do a type is equal to list. And then what we do, we generate a secret there. We just pass Tableau consumer secret. We list down a secret name. This secret will be used to sign the value. After your secret is generated, we create a field in the Salesforce to sign it. Once you create this field, then the secret value field is created. So these settings, why we are doing these settings will make sure that the value that is passed from Tableau to from Salesforce to Tableau is an encrypted value, because now we are creating a custom mapping. We are not using any Salesforce defined setting. We are not using Salesforce username, Salesforce email ID. We are using a custom username, and we are signing that custom username so that that username is a trusted name. So that's why we create a consumer secret. Once your secret is created, you say give it a default secret value, and this is a secret value, the same secret value that has been generated when the secret key was there. So this is how you generate a secret key and the custom settings to actually encrypt a value. Now we have generated a secret key, but how we are going to use that secret key value in our code? How we'll do it? For that, we need to create an Apex custom controller. So if you are not using a custom mapping, you can always use Salesforce standard controllers. Salesforce standard controllers is like they have standard controllers called as opportunity, account, lead, campaign, which by default, if you call the account.id, it will automatically pass you the account name. But in our case, we want to pass the custom settings, custom username, in addition to the account name. That's why we have to create an extra controller class, which is nothing but a custom controller class. Just think of it like you are extending an object. You are inheriting. This is nothing but it is inheriting already an existing class. So in the first section, this is a snapshot of the code, and this is like the main settings that should be, just showing the main settings so that everybody can understand. So the first section, you are just taking the account name from your standard controller. You are just, in the first section, you're just taking, okay, I got my account name, okay. In the second setting, from a Salesforce username table, I am fetching the custom value of the user who is logged in. So second code tell me, okay, I'm going to get the username. And third is, it again calls us another class where it says that give me the signed value. So if we look, this is, we create an Apex class. Any custom coding to be done in Salesforce uses the Apex class. Now, in the previous slide, which I showed, is that the account controller was actually calling a signed identity, and this is how the signed identity is generated now. If you see here, we are signing it with base 64 value, the custom username which we got from the previous account controller. So what account controller gave me? The custom username who is logged in from the Salesforce user table. Salesforce user table, okay, Rajiv logged in. This Rajiv is passed to the account controller. Account controller took that value and then passed it to this. And this is where it signs the value and sends it back to the Visualforce page. Once it sends it back to Visualforce page and the value is passed to Sparkler, this is a very big snapshot, but if you look the first line of it, it says signed request. So the request is signed, and on the Sparkler side, Sparkler is actually decrypting this value using the secret key. So it actually tells that, okay, this was a secret. It decrypts the same value using the same secret key. So how much encryption is there? If the secret key is different or it's not signed by the same secret key, the Sparkler will say that signed request is not valid. And if you look at the end of the code, it also, this is a log. This is from the log snapshot where it actually tells you that, okay, pass the signed request reaches on the other side and is validated. So your communication is totally secured. Okay, so now everything has been set up. We called a Tableau dashboard into this Visualforce page. The Visualforce page, we just give it, if you see the Visualforce page, which I have it here, if you see this Visualforce page, the first ts.name is actually nothing but your view name. And then the site, the trusted signed identity, is the custom username which we looked, and the filter which will be generated automatically. So if I go back, now somebody, you clicked on an account page, and this is where the Tableau dashboard comes. This is coming now. On a glance, you can see how my accounts are doing, what is my pipeline in stage, what is my top accounts. So that Visualforce page, which I just showed you, it is having the view name and is rendered here now. So Visualforce page called the canvas. Canvas passes the custom username, which is a generic username, goes to Proxy, Proxy talks to Sparkler, Sparkler talks to Tableau server, and it gives the dashboard back in Salesforce. So if you are a sales rep, you don't need to worry about anything. You just add them on your Visualforce page or give them an access in the account page layout, and you're done. Now, okay, I am in that page, and I want to filter the content now. Okay, I want to see my account. I want to see my opportunity. This is where, this is a URL actions. So you do a URL action, and you click on account, and you say go to account, and you go to the account. And it opens an account layout page for you. Now, if you see, this account is only filtered for edge communications. The account is only showing you the data related to the access with sales. So at the back end, using my custom controllers and the controller class, I passed the account.name here, which went as a filter to Tableau, and Tableau only showed that account details only. So this was like how you design a Visualforce page to tell it. So you can put n number of views here. Like, okay, you can put in ts.name whichever view you want to expose in Salesforce, you can do it. And then you can also create custom labels so that when you migrate from dev to prod, the value of the label is what gets changed. And you can have different values in different environments. Okay, so this slide, I put it just to tell, like, this is how a sales rep account page will look like. So an account sales rep, he will see 7 accounts, and whichever he will click, it will only give the information related to that account, which we saw in the previous slides. So if he clicks on edge communication, he's only going to see the information related to edge communication because the data is getting filtered. Same is the case with opportunity. In the same account page, we put an opportunity in the layout. You click an opportunity, and you will only see the data related to that opportunity. This is in the slide, it shows that how my opportunity is doing compared to other opportunity. Is it in a state of loss? It is in a state of 1, or it's still in a progress? Okay, so we have done all the setup. Everything is done. But how do I control my permissions on Tableau? What are the permissions I need to give in Salesforce as well as in Tableau? I control the permissions at account level. I control the permissions at the Canvas app setup, at the Visualforce setup, any custom buttons, they can be customized for permissions. Now you pass a generic ID here. What are the permissions a generic ID should have? In my case, I have just given view and filter so that the sales rep just can see the dashboard, what is he should be seeing. He is not able to do a web editing. He is not able to save it. He's not able to download any data. But you can customize all the settings using Sparkler, where we control show tabs is equal to, you can say show tabs is equal to yes, show toolbar is equal to, if you want to subscribe somebody in Salesforce, you can do it. So as we come to the last, this is how you will actually enable embedding of your Tableau dashboard into Salesforce with complete security, with complete, whatever dashboards you want to expose, you want to filter. You can filter it using the account opportunity controller classes. You can pass n number of filters. It's not just that you can pass. So this is, you can pass anything you want to pass. So that's what we learned today. We learned how we can set up Sparkler in depth, how we can, what are the proxy server settings, not just from Salesforce perspective, but you want to expose it on the internet, you want to access it on the mobile, you want to access it on the iPad, how do we do it? How do we bring any third-party app into Salesforce with Canvas? You want to bring Power BI or other tools, you can bring it. It's just so simple we learned today. And then custom mapping. The custom mapping is so extended. Okay, I don't want to pass generic username, I want to pass something else. How do we do it? We also learned like how we pass account opportunity. They go as a filter, URL filters to Tableau. Thank you. Thank you.